Anna Hinz, režisérka filmu Sestry z kouřové sauny.
Aitjuma, aitjuma, ait. Aitjuma, 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 ait. Armas Tšehhi publikum, armas Tšehhi publikum. Vägev Ji.hlava festival, vägev Ji.hlava festival. All our shame into sweat waters, all our shame into sweat waters, all our pain into cold water, all our pain into cold water. May we be blessed by sacred waters, may we be blessed by sacred waters. Aitjuma, 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 ait. Aitjuma, 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 ait. Thank you. Woo! Thank you so much.
I didn't expect us singing, but thank you very much for the film, also for your emotions. It's visually beautiful and emotionally very rich experience, so thank you very much for that. I'll just say a few words about you, if you're okay with that. Anna Hinz is an Estonian director, screenwriter and musician, as you have had the opportunity to see. Her main focus of her work is on her personal and cultural memory, the impossibility or possibility of communication. She has background in contemporary art and experimental folk singing too. Anna has studied Estonian and comparative literature and folklore and has a degree both in photography and film directing. So thank you very much and welcome again to the Ji.hlava International Film Festival. Anna, I would say empowerment, sharing in safe space, and also cleansing or cleaning the emotion. That was the main thing I felt, like the shared experience of that during the movie. What were your emotions when filming that? What would you say?
Oh. Well, my big dream was how to capture to the audiences this kind of safe space, how to transform the smoke sauna into the dark cinema hall so that you would all feel being part of that. And the impulse for that was this, that I felt that, I mean, the world needs it, and it's lacking this kind of safe spaces, and I feel we all felt, also the Sisterhood, that it's like a gift for humanity and maybe inspires others to also create their safe spaces, to have dialogues and listen, also very difficult things, but listen each other and support each other.
Were these women somehow close to you, like you were connected with them either like as a friendship or a familiar kind of thing?
Yeah, it started with a Sisterhood that I'm also part of, and I think it was possible to create this film because I'm like a voice from within the community. But then it really grew. Estonia is very small, 1.3 million people, and I made the film 7 years, and then people started to know that I'm making the film, and they started to contact me. And once it was even this, that a car came to the farmhouse where I was living and filming, and the woman came out and was like, "Where is the smoke sauna? And I want to be in the film, I want to also be there." And I was like, okay, yes, let's go. Let's get naked and let's go there. So it started to live its life and form sisterhoods, you know, people that didn't know, but the moment you enter there and you do all this, take the time to go through the smoke sauna, you come out as sisters.
So how many women actually were participating in this film? Because you focus mainly on the body parts, then on the face. Also, you can talk about that more, the reason for that. So maybe I couldn't really say how many women were in there.
In the film, I was counting once it was 25 different women, but in the 7 years there were more. And I want to actually talk about it, how the process was, because I think it's very important, not just what we create, but how we create. And so it was like this, that I had some rule for me that I will not persuade anyone. Often they teach in film school also that you should persuade and seduce your characters or subjects. But I felt that no, I just meet them and I tell very honestly what level of intimacy I'm looking after, and only those who are like, yes, we want to be part, then we continue. And those whom I felt hesitation, for me it was no. But then society changed. I started to do it before Me Too movement, and then some women started to contact me, and new women, as I said. And then another thing was that usually you sign the release forms before filming. Basically it means that all what you film is owned by production, and I was against that. I couldn't imagine doing it like this, and I have to really congratulate my producer Marianne Ostrat, who supported my vision, because it's so important to have people who support your vision. So we took huge risk, and it was the deal that only in the post-production, when I show the edit, the whole film edit, they have the right to say yes or no, and then they sign. But nobody said no, actually, because we were really including all the voices, and the Sisterhood continues till now. Now they're like sending me support messages, and Anna, when you come home at Christmas, then we're going to make some sauna for you, and it's really, really beautiful to create it like this.
And the first part of the question was the focus on the
Yes.
on the body more than on the face.
I mean, the whole thing. As my degree, I have also background in photography, so I'm very aware that wherever you take camera out, camera is never objective, never, always subjective, and always with a glance. And for me, the challenge was in the beginning. I really was like, oh, how to capture to the film the nudity that in Smoke Sauna is nothing sexual. We're all there, different bodies, different generations, and nothing sexual, nothing objectifying. So how to capture that? So I did testing on my own body first with a cinematographer, and really calibrating like the mindset and finding, and I was watching the material and where I felt safe myself, and then I showed it to the women. And then I was following who wanted to show their face and who didn't want to show their face. And it was more, it's very interesting, actually, in this testing part, the cinematographer realized, and I realized also, that there is so much that objectifying gaze on female bodies subconsciously. This judgment.
The male gaze.
The male gaze. The male
well.
gaze, but that goes beyond genders. It doesn't. You can be whatever gender and have the. This in the film also, the mothers who confess, who are brave to confess that the first thought on a baby girl was to check how they look like, if they're beautiful. So it shows how we're suffering because of this. And then when you really work with your mindset and you start to go beyond that, and you start to see landscapes, you start to see the beauty in the form, or like it's not when you're not scared anymore, like, oh my God, there are breasts, oh my God, you know, it goes away. They're just breasts. We have the body. We have that who has the female body. This female body bleeds. This female body has breasts, and so on. And it's fine. And it's also possible to show that without sexualization. So it was very important to me to show that and to find that language.
Were you surprised by the interest of women coming to you and saying, I want to be in this film? Because as you've mentioned in the film, the Estonian nature is rather like distant, not very emotional. So was it the absence of sharing of the sisterhood that persuaded them to come to you and wanted to be part of the movie? Would you say that?
I think this is the big need actually in us. I can, because I'm traveling with the film so much, and so many people are coming after that when they see the film, they write to me and they are like, where can we also come? Can I come with you to smoke sauna, Anna? So it's I think it talks about that need, that deep need to be vulnerable and safe and heard and seen. And I think because I'm the voice from within the community, then, you know, the sisterhood started to share their experiences, and people were like, oh, we want to be part of that. So probably they felt all safe and included, and
yeah, it shows.
Yeah. So, but the Estonians in general, we can say that we are fine with physical nudity, because we're used to go to saunas. We see our parents naked and grandparents, but emotional nakedness is something that is lacking. And
is it true that the Estonian language does not have the word love? Like I've read it somewhere. Yeah, like the one word that would include the emotion love. Is it true or?
No, it's not true.
Okay,
we
sorry,
have
I've read it somewhere. It's an urban legend.
But we don't have
You're
gender.
not that distant.
We don't have gender in our language. We have only one word that is for whoever gender, and we also don't have future. Well, we also don't have future in our language. We have a lot of tenses for past. So.
Wow. It's interesting. How does it influence your nation? Would you say is it symptomatic?
It's talking. Well, you understand that you're talking of future, but in the present. But yes, a lot of the past, a lot of the traumas from past, and definitely it's there. But I think this gender thing is very progressive. Yeah, it's. I always confuse he, she, and all these things in other languages. I don't know how to think like that, gender-based. Yeah.
Was the film scripted in any way, or you've just been observing the sharing of the pain and of the experiences?
No, the stories were not scripted. It was this thing that actually a rule that we don't talk about what we're gonna talk in smoke sauna. Because and one smoke sauna session lasted several hours. Regular was like 4 hours, and it's hot. It's 80 degrees Celsius, and you have to take time. Once it was 8 hours, and it would not have been real. You know, it would not have been. I couldn't imagine going after script. I mean, this wouldn't be a documentary then. It was always entering into unknown, so we never knew what stories start to come up. And I also said actually this, that it's fine if nothing comes. So there was a safety of no pressure. We can just go and be silent. So, but always there was something that started to come up, but maybe things started to come up on second hour. And it's like with this heat, you start to sweat. First physical dirt starts to come up onto surface, and then emotional dirt. And so no, stories were all there, as you saw, just in front of the camera, and it was our task to capture them, because if we couldn't, then they're gone. And it was a huge challenge for technology also, because it was emotionally how to keep the space, but also physically that nobody, everyone is hydrated, and it was also a rule like whoever needed to go and breathe then goes and breathes, including camera. When camera is like, no, I need to breathe, then we had to step out. Maybe
one question, I hope that's not too sensitive or exposing, but you were also like naked when filming it, the crew?
I was naked within the women, but cinematographer could not have, even if they wanted to be naked, because camera gets very hot. So there was a wet cloth around and gloves, and wet cloth dripping with water all the time. and ice bags around the camera. I mean, it was a challenge to shoot it. Yeah.
So would you say your own nakedness like added to the safe space for the women? Like
Definitely, it was something that the women also wanted, that they wanted me to be with them there.
in our culture, or maybe I will now generalize a little bit, but I feel that sauna is more like men stuff in our country, or maybe other countries, that men are talking about the serious, like interesting stuff in sauna. It's not really a safe space for women to go to public sauna. At least I feel this way. Maybe audience will say something different, but I feel this way. So you would say in Estonia, it's maybe one of the few spaces that you can actually share freely things?
Yes, definitely, and
as a woman, of course.
But these saunas, this smoke sauna, is not it's not public usually. It is a household has this special wooden building without chimney, and you go there. In smoke sauna, women used to give birth and wash the dead and heal, so it's especially important for women, and why I wanted to focus on women. Men also do. Like in traditionally, it's like men go to sauna and then women and men separately. Yeah? Nowadays it's changing. But the thing is, when the film came out in Estonia, then a lot of men started to contact me and were like, why is it so that they go to sauna and they talk about the bullshit and not about the real shit? And then they were like, please, can you make a smoke sauna brotherhood film? And I was like, but shouldn't you first start the brotherhood? You know, so, you know.
You should do it for them, just.
They should.
They think so.
So I encourage to create these brotherhood saunas where they, to be the first courageous to be vulnerable and talk about the real shit.
And then you would be you would like to shoot this film?
No. No, I think there might be someone from within their community then.
Is there any question from the audience? If so, then raise your hand and you will get the mic. No question? Oh, there is one. So if we have...
Thank you for your beautiful film. I actually have two questions. One is about what was the most challenging in the editing, because it was 7 years, and what was the most challenging? And the second one is, why did you wanted your grandma, imagine, to be part of it? I mean, I can understand, but I would like to know more about your personal motivation.
Thank you. The first was editing, yes. So the editing took 2 years altogether. And I think for this film, actually, this time was a very important element, or a co-director, you can say. You needed time to heat up the smoke sauna, you needed time to be there. And I knew that I needed time for the edit to digest, and I'm a very intuitive filmmaker. So when things start to come to my dreams, I know that okay, I'm living through this material. I had to be super sensitive, and the whole editing, I could say, was a challenge, and a challenge how to be respectful to the stories that are there. Then how to create this emotional journey, how to, I mean, even to this, that when you go with women to sauna, most of them have experienced some kind of sexual violence. Which story to pick, how the one story relates to the other. So it was all a challenge. It really was all a challenge and needed time. And Yeah, so it took 2 years. I was still filming, but started to go through the material. And what I had, what you asked before about the script, it's not, we write it script, but it's this, when you ask money for fund, you have to write something. It's usually a page or two. So what I had in mind was the structure. I knew that I would start with the frozen water, and I would end with a flowing water, and I can tell more about that. And that there are different seasons. So that was like, that I knew. And then it was really like, how to be sensitive, how to like start at the, like for example, the beginning of the film came to me in my dream. And this was already in I think in second year. And it was taking the time and just like sensing it and sensing. And so first of all, understanding what we have there. And then the challenge, what was very challenging actually was I had to support and comfort those women whose story was not inside the film. And that was hugely emotionally difficult for me. So I had no problem of somebody wanting to take the story out, but how to comfort and say your story is important. You know, it doesn't mean that it is not in the film, that it is not important. That was emotionally very challenging for me. And as I said, I included the women, so I showed the film and I included their voices and felt in that way I was not alone, but I felt that being part. But yeah, that was maybe the most challenging for me. How to support those whose story is not in. I didn't know that before, that they would be like so sad. But one woman was really sad.
The grandmother.
Grandmother. This is not my real grandma. My grandmother is unfortunately died, the southern grandmother, 18 years ago. But there is a story with meeting this woman. So I was doing archaeological excavations. Not me, I was part of them, archaeological excavations, and in the southeast Estonia, really in the middle of like nowhere, you can say, like no villages anymore. And we were in the evening, I was singing songs, and next day we went out to like see if we find any village or someone. And we reached this farm, and in the middle of the farm there was this lady who was sitting in an old lady and was watching us and saying, "Hello, I was waiting for you." And I was like, whoa. And the previous night she had heard those songs, and these songs she remembers from childhood, but nobody's there anymore singing them. So we fell in love with each other, and she adopted me. She was like, "I'm going to be your new Seto grandmother." And it was so beautiful, and she told me, she told me, she was so open, like I remember my granny was. And so, and then she died like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And I was like, okay, how, I knew that I wanted her, because she, for me, is the spirit of the grandmothers. She's the voice of grandmothers, and it was very important to have the voice of foremothers there, and like the voice of smoke sauna, or the voice of the smoke. And but I was like, I had this material that I had shot, and I was like, I was not like visually happy with that material. And I was like, oh, please give me a sign. And again, what I do is I'm paying attention to my dreams. So it came as a vision in a dream, that smoke and her, and I was like, yes, thank you. So that's how I do films. And then it may, it was because people around me had been telling that there is no way you're going to make this work. But then when they saw my vision, then they were like, okay, yes, it's working.
We have space for one more question, I would say, if there is one. Okay, over there.
Hi, hello. Thank you very much for your movie. I have one question, and it maybe it's too personal, so you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. I'm interested in your in you and your work after the movie. If it is emotionally really difficult, I'm just watch it and I'm devastated, and I'm really interested in your some coping mechanism after the movie. If you have something like that, maybe sauna, maybe something else. Thank you.
Yes, you mean like the whole process? How?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Yes, smoke sauna and going to nature and water. We have a lot of chance with water. And one thing is also what I tell people, because a lot of people have come to me and cried, and then they start apologizing for tears, and they're holding the tears back. And I'm like, can we stop apologizing for our tears? Let them flow. That is huge, huge healing when we let the tears flow, when we let this go through us. So crying it out, going to water, we have the prayers with water, and actually water is very important element. So for me, this water layer that I call was from the start important, because when we have traumas, they're often like frozen water inside us, and sometimes we can feel that there is only ice field, like dark, cold water inside. So, but how not to ever forget that water has the power to flow again. We just need warmth. So, so there is huge hope in that. And when tears are flowing, then they are also flowing, and just letting it all out and hugging somebody and telling somebody that, hey, I'm feeling certain way, not hiding behind the mask, being vulnerable, being okay with vulnerability. And when you are not used to that, it might feel uncomfortable. But also I don't know if message, but what I want to tell is that it's okay to be uncomfortable. And it is okay, because when we talk about rape, for example, what is there comfortable? Nothing comfortable. But we should learn as society and as ourselves also to be okay with that, to hear and share uncomfortable. Yeah, it takes a courage. Thank you.
And I could have listened, I think, the audience too, to you for way longer, but there is another movie pushing us away. So thank you very much for your film, for your honesty, for being here at Ji.hlava. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you
thank
so
you
much.
for the attention.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.